Halloween and 15 fell on a weekend? What was I thinking? I gotta be alert to the littles trick-or-treating. Don't they look cute with their little bags? All I thought about was the dead monster behind my ass. See, I had 30 stops and it was already 8:30 p.m. So I had to speed up the pace. All I could see was the dead in my face. It was he and I in a duel, no doubt. I worked nonstop to punch him in the mouth. He was going down, I figured. But see, this goal was of no ordinary figure. It seemed like he stood about 100 feet. He knew I was seeing him in my sleep. So me and myself and I triple teamed on him. Every day I worked to drop those Ks on him. The more I worked, the more Ks flew. My debt disappeared. But see, my dream disappeared too. The dispatcher said, "Man, what were you thinking?" It was not even close to Halloween. It was Minnesota dark, where no black man should be. Into the snowbank, where there should be a street. No sign or asphalt or concrete. The little miss at essay says, "You got to chill, G." The grind, playing tricks on me. Welcome back to the Kminustwo Financial Health channel. In this video, I'm going to describe to you this scenario, this poem I wrote in my financial health journal back in October 2015. I'm going to describe that real life scenario to you guys. I'm going to talk about four other scenarios, four other things that happened to me in my past. And I'm going to talk to you guys about that because if they would have went further left, I would have never made it here to talk to you guys about seeing my first $100,000 account. If they would have went left, I would have never made it here to talk to you guys about my journey. If they would have went left, I would have never made it here to talk to you guys about my wealth building journey, being successful, seeing my first 100K and building wealth from there. If you were born poor and on welfare, if you have a burning desire to get out of bad debt and build wealth, if you have a burning desire to tell your money what to do, stay tuned. Pay very close attention to what I described to you right now, right? Okay? If that's you and you want to jump on this train to further enhance your financial health, this is the video for you. Stay tuned. And welcome back to the Kminustwo Financial Health channel. If you're new to the channel and like what you're getting to hear during this video, I'm going to ask you to do one important thing, is to share this information, this very valuable financial health information with someone you care and love. You believe they can use this information to their advantage going long term. Who knows? Maybe you can too. All right, guys. So I'm going to describe to you not only this particular situation, but four other situations that happened in my life, real life scenarios that happened in my life that if they would have went left, I would have never made it here to talk to you guys, okay? Now, to give you guys some disclaimers on what I just talked to you guys about. See the thumbnail, the title of this video? You see the actual, my account? Let me go ahead and give you some disclaimers and we can move on from there. Now, it looks great to look at that $100,000, don't it, guys? I thought so too, right? But it's more than one account. It's actually 3 accounts. Now, let me describe to you specifically what they are. Now, you guys know that I have a Roth IRA. If you see my past videos, you guys know I have a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA managed by my financial advisor guy, all right, at Fidelity. I also have a brokerage account that I manage myself personally, right? Those are those 3 accounts, okay? So, and yes, that's a 6-figure net worth, but I actually went over the 6-figure mark 2 years ago. There's many different things I thought about as I stared at this account. You know, it takes me back to the past. I'm going to talk to you guys about, again, 5 of them. The first one, the one I talked to you guys about in the pre-video, we're going to talk about that one last. One thing I thought about was what I call ice baths. When I was a young kid, up until I was 9 years old, I had seizures. And the higher my temperature got, the more susceptible I was to having a seizure. You know, I'm talking about all out knocked out, stiff seizures where no matter where I would just fall to the ground or fall to the floor and be stiff as a board, right? And my mother had to be very cognizant of that. She always had to watch she would walk around with a temperature gauge because she would have to watch my temperature. My temperature goes up a little bit, she would have to be very aware of that, right? If it went past 100, she would get nervous, right? So the higher that temperature got, the more she had to be very aware of what was going on in my body, right? There's times where I would have nosebleeds. I would have a seizure. My mom would have to, throw me into an ice bath to get my temperature down. She would have to drape me with ice towels, and wrap my head around cold towels to keep my temperature down, right? Those things I thought about, man, and over the years, and it really came to my mind when I stared at that account. It drove me back into the past. If my health would have went another direction, I would have never made it here. If I didn't have a caring mom like I did, who knows where I would be. I've seen all the nervous tics on my mom's face. Even when I was young, I can tell. My mom came home to take care of me. I can tell how it was bothering her, how it was troubling her. She was a nervous single mother. She came home to take care of me. My grandfather, my grandmother tried to take care of me. My mother was at work, working, trying to enhance her life. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get her stake into capitalism, but she wind up giving it up. And she wound up coming home and taking care of me. She saw where it was too much on my grandparents, and so she decided to come home and take care of me and look after me. She decided to go on welfare because of it. She wanted to stay home with her kids and protect me and her other kids, and so she made that decision to do that. But I think me getting sick in my particular situation drove her to that. And that's always been on my mind throughout my life. And seeing this account, guys, made me reminisce about those times. The next scenario that I thought about looking at this six-figure account was my spirit's introduction. And what does that mean? Back in 99 were the last time that the three guys that I looked up to, that gave me some great input as a man, three guys in my family, the last one passed away in 99. And ever since that time, I've had dreams of K-2, what K-2 meant. I had dreams about it. K-2. Didn't know what it meant until years later, in a mirror, 2015. I had already started my Dave Ramsey Total Money Makeover, getting out of debt process in 2013, but I struggled. I struggled for a year and a half, guys. Until a time where I called myself on it. I called an accountability meeting with my own self, right? With me, myself, and I, in front of a mirror in 2015, in a rundown apartment building in a suburb west of Minneapolis. See, guys, it was a no holds barred situation for me. It was do or don't, right? No try or tries. Win or lose situation for me. In a mirror for 45 minutes. I had to figure it out. I put my foot down. That was it. No more the cycle of poverty. No more to change that bind. I had to figure it out. I've talked more about this in other videos, and I'll talk more about it in the future. I'll let it stay right there at the moment. Maybe someday I'll write about this. But to carry on with the conversation, in that mirror, I saw three angels. I saw my three spirits behind me. I've had conversations with them. They had passed on years earlier. I've seen them in my dreams. I've had little bouts of conversation with them in my visions, but nothing like this. At this time in 2015, I finally figured out what K-2 meant. Understand the I in you so you can tell your money what to do. Each angel behind me, I heard them. I heard them. My grandfather, my uncle, and Oscar. My mother's boyfriend, Oscar. It's so difficult to call him just a boyfriend of my mother. I had to elevate him because of what he did for me. So I call him my stepfather, Oscar, even though him and my mother were never married. But my grandfather talked to me and said, you're going to understand the I in you so you can tell your money what to do, right? To further your goal and not just yourself. See, it's bigger than you. K-2. It's for you in your present to establish this proof of concept and to enhance your life, not for you, for future generations, right? To enhance your family tree. It has to start with you, right? So he gave me an ultimatum. Win, lose, right? I was going to win by using some of his great qualities. See, the people I'm getting ready to talk to you guys about are not perfect people, right? But they all had great qualities that they indoctrinated to me that particular night. My grandfather gave me his mental toughness, his strength of mindset, okay? The next spirit to talk to me was my uncle. My uncle gave me his strength of dreaming. It's not only good to have a great mindset, but you have to focus that mindset into a dream. Because when you dream, you start visualizing and writing down. See, it starts with hope, then it goes to wish. After wish, it goes to dreaming. When you're inspired to dream, you're inspired to vision. When you inspired to vision, you start actually writing down goals and what you're going to do to get there. That's what my uncle gave me. I achieved one of my uncle's dreams was to go overseas and speak another language. It's a few years ago when I went to Egypt and had a little dibby here and there with speaking different language, speaking Arabic. Didn't speak a lot of it, but it was great to accomplish some of his goals, some of his dreams, because that dream was indoctrinated into me that particular night. I started dreaming about my financial health future, guys. And as I look at my 100K account, that's what I think about. The next spirit to talk to me was my man Oscar, my mother's boyfriend, who I call now my stepfather, that told me that it's not only okay to have a mental mindset that's strong for you and your goal going forward. It's not only okay to have a dream that's going to propel you forward. It's going to propel you to get your financial health game in order. But it's also good to have the working mechanism to make all that work. See, you got to go hard at it. Be a hard worker. To stir the pot, you got to put some work in. And that's what he did in his life. And he indoctrinated that to me that night. He gave me the gift of hard work. So I took all those great traits from those three individuals, guys, and I put them in myself that night. I made sure that I was going to honor my three angels, my three spirits that stay with me to this day. Those three traits was going to propel me forward to win with money. And they did. Next scenario I'm going to talk to you guys about, the next order of business in my story was what I call wall monsters. Wall monsters. Back in the day, ex-girlfriend of mine, me and her separated. We weren't getting along. We separated. I took some days away from the house where we were staying with each other. I came back. My place was locked out. I was locked out of my place. Couldn't get in. All my furniture, all my belongings was in this place. And so she didn't want to deal with it. She didn't want to deal with me. So I had to pick up the pieces. All what I had in my car, all what I had in my possessions, all what I had on my person, I had to go for another place, right? Even without any possessions I had to find someone in the Minneapolis area that will rent to me. It took me 2.5, 3 weeks of being on the street and living in my car to find such a place. It was a guy that was the owner of an apartment building. This apartment building was slated to be condemned, right? I actually found this guy in one of the local publications that suburb of Minneapolis, Golden Valley, and is west of Minneapolis, publish on a weekly basis. So in there, I found this guy, right, that was giving out apartments to people who didn't have a place to go, right? And so he catered to the homeless. He catered to people who desperately needed a spot to go. He explained to me when I contacted him, he said, look, I want you to understand, I have a contract with a developer. This apartment building will eventually be condemned. Not now, sometime in the future. I just can't guarantee you when. It could be a month from now, 6 months from now. All right? Now, it just so happens that I was in that place for 1.5 years until it got condemned. But let's just say this, guys. It wasn't a Taj Mahal, all right? It was an old apartment building that had a lot of issues, right? They didn't care about fixing it up. It was slated to be condemned. But I had a roof over my head. In between time, I was dealing with getting my, moving on from this relationship, this negative Nancy relationship that I brought upon myself. See, that's one thing, guys, in that mirror, a truth that I told you guys about back in 2015. All the Debbie Downers I've been through in my life, all the negative Nancys, all the negative Nancys and the downtrodden women that I've been through in my life, yes, I can fault them all I want. But in that accountability mirror in 2015, I had to take ownership of myself. I had to take accountability because I brought them to my life. It was my fault they came into my life, no matter what issues they had. And they had issues. But that's something you guys will learn from me as well, is that the people you associate with and bring into your life, right? No matter what they go through, what kind of hangups they have, it's your fault for bringing them into your life. It's your fault for associating with them. It's your fault for dealing with that situation. I had to move on from that relationship, but in between time, I had to get all my furniture back. I had to get all my possessions back, right? Then I had to gather myself, right? To understand that I was in between a financial health journey, a financial health mystery. Was I going to win or was I going to lose? That was a storyline I woke up with every day. And as I sat in this condemned apartment building every day, it was a situation where I couldn't sleep because I don't like things crawling around my house, guys. I don't like things creepy crawling around my house, okay? There's one dweller in that house, and that's me, right? That's how I figure, right? I don't want things crawling around me. I grew up with roaches crawling around me. I grew up with roaches in my cereal back in the day when I was a young kid, right? I don't want anything like that. So as I lived in this place, man, I had some of the biggest, longest, biggest, critters crawling around my house, right? Centipedes, right? The things I don't like the most are snakes and centipedes. I can't stand them, guys. But if you live in Minnesota, see, Minnesota is a wet state because there's so many different, waterways and lakes and, that kind of thing up there. is that it attracts centipedes, man. And these centipedes are thick and long, guys. I would wake up sometimes, man, in that apartment complex, and I would see centipedes on my wall. Big monsters, right? And there's times when I wouldn't even sleep in my bed, because at the time my bed was on the floor, and there's times I woke up with centipedes crawling on my bed. I had a nice little leather chair that I would sleep in, man, sometimes. And I remember one particular morning I woke up to go to work, and man, that huge, I see it to this day. I look to my left, there was a huge, it looked like he was about 2 inches long and about 1.5 inches thick centipede on my wall. And those are the visions that go through my mind, man. And when I see that account, that takes me back to that time, right? I can reminisce back to that time. And so it was a time where I had to make a move in my life, man. All that was telling me that, look, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You got to take certain things out of your vocabulary. Trying had to go. It was the epicenter of my event horizon. It was the epicenter of me winning or losing, right? I was going to find out, guys. I was going to find out. The next scenario I'll talk to you guys about is pre-George Floyd. About 1.5 years, everybody knows about George Floyd. In Minnesota, most people know about the George Floyd scenario, when that cop put his knee on George Floyd's neck and killed him. Minneapolis have had a history of dirty cops. So does the city that I'm from, that I was born and raised, Omaha. They both have a history of dirty cops. So I'm used to that scenario. I lived up in Minnesota when this happened to George Floyd. I went to some of the rallies. I went to some of the marches. I know about George Floyd Square in Southside Minneapolis. So I lived there. About 1.5 years before this happened to George, I was in downtown Minneapolis at a place called the Poorhouse. Fuck you, Poorhouse, right? I was talking to a white friend girl of mine, and they're having a few drinks, having some conversation. All of a sudden, this guy comes up to me in a very forceful, disrespectful way. Looked like he was a bouncer or whoever. Comes up to me and says, "Hey, get off there," in a very forceful way. And hey, look, man, I'm a respectful guy, but where I'm from, guys, you don't deal with disrespect from a dude that's approaching you like that. So, of course, I'm going to speak on it, right? I stood up right away and went toe-to-toe with this guy and said, "Hey, man, that's wherever you are, we're patrons in your club. We're patrons in your spot, right? We are owed respect. Now, I don't like how you came and talked to me like that, right?" And so, whatever issue he had, I had to let him know that, hey, that was not going to be tolerated, right? We are in here to give you our money. We are in here to patronize your establishment, right? And so you're going to treat us with respect. And so apparently he didn't like me confronting him on that issue. And so one thing leads to another, and he kicked us out of the spot. She goes, I forgot where she went, but I'm walking out of the spot. He went and got somebody else to escort me out. And one thing led to another. The drink that was in my hand, they pushed it to the ground, and dude decided to take his arm and choke hold me and escort me outside. And I was going to take it to another level. Obviously, that was inappropriate. And I eventually, filed a human rights violation, a complaint against the club, against him in the club. But we won't talk about that. We're going to talk about what happened initially after he gave me a chokehold, pushed me outside. See, George Floyd was on the ground. My scenario is they held me against the wall. 4 or 5 cops held me against the wall, right? They took the chokehold off of me, handcuffed me, push my face against the wall outside this particular establishment. Now, at that particular time, I had to make a decision. I was outnumbered, right? So I had to make a decision. Was I going to take that to another level and escalate the situation where I was outnumbered, knowing that the history of dirty Minneapolis cops, I can wind up being in the situation other folks were in where they lost their lives. If I would have, shouted at them and told them that was inappropriate and so forth and so on, and you're not going to get away with this and blah, blah, blah. So what I did was I knew what I wanted in my life. I knew I had to get to a certain spot in my life to win in this financial health game. I could not cut that short. I could not cut my dream short. I could not cut my journey short. So what I did was I shut up and just kept quiet. They did what they had to do. I got out of the situation and moved on. Went home. Right? But if that one went further, obviously I could have been like George Floyd. And I didn't want to disappoint myself. I didn't want to disappoint my mother. I didn't want to disappoint the people that cared about me. No Halloween. In October 2015, this is deep into my financial health journey, guys. This is deep into my Dave Ramsey total money makeover plan. I committed to myself that I'm going to win with this no matter what. No holds barred. No trying. No try. Win, lose. I was going to have to deal with the repercussions because of it. Whatever came out because of it, right? Whatever I had to go through to win, I was going to do it, right? I knew I was going to take some L's. There was no doubt about it. But I had to overcome those L's. I had to overcome those obstacles to win. I worked nonstop, right? I worked my full-time job. That was 40 hours plus a week. I worked at a rubber fabrication factory on the weekends, 12 hours one day, 12 hours the next day, right? Saturday and Sunday, 24 hours total on the weekend. I also worked a part-time job at night when I got done my full-time job. I checked in at 6 o'clock. I can be out there until midnight or later, right? In Minnesota, it snowed. There's ice, sleet, rain. I had to deal with all the weather, right? And so there was no excuses of, oh, weather's coming down, you're going home. They don't deal with that up there. If it's 6 inches of snow on the ground, they ain't calling school. They ain't calling work. You're going to be out there working, okay? That's what I had to deal with. This particular night, there was snow on the ground. I can't remember how many inches. It must have been a few inches here and there. But as the night went on, it got worse and worse and worse. I was on my part-time job doing deliveries for a pharmaceutical company. And I was out delivering meds to a group home. This particular group home was well from the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. It was about 30, 35, 40 miles away from the Minneapolis-St. Paul metro area, out there in the suburbs, out there in the sticks, right? And so as the night went on, the weather got worse, right? And I really thought it was Halloween. I really did. See, guys, in my journey, I worked so hard. I worked so many hours. Every day just kind of meshed into each other, right? Honestly. For me, man, I was sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night. And it was all about this right here, guys. Eat, shower, sleep, guys, and go to work again. Eat, shower, sleep, and go to work again, right? I was working so many hours a week. I was working 100, 120 hours a week, man. And so I never paid attention to holidays, anything like that. I didn't have time to pay attention to that, man. I was on my grind. This is the time of my life, guys. I was deep into my grind. Deep. I was going to win or lose, man. Win or lose. And This particular night back in October 2015, man, I didn't know if I was coming to go, to be honest with you. I did all I could to stay awake. I was tired all the time. It was times where I would be sucking down Mountain Dew, 5-hour energy, coffee, and everything else to stay awake. But there's times where it just took over me. This particular night where I don't know if I was just delusional. I thought I saw kids in their bags, Halloween, trick-or-treating. Maybe it was one of those nights where it's not Halloween per se. I know up in Minnesota, big for this. They would take kids out, even wasn't, if it wasn't Halloween. If it was in some suburbs were different than others, right? Some people would honor their Halloween holiday on a Thursday or a Friday or a different day, for example, right? So maybe that was what it was, but I didn't really care. I just thought I saw what I saw, and I was moving on my night. This particular night, I had a lot of stops. I had like 30 stops, man. It was a big night and a lot of deliveries that had to be made. Night was moving on, and it got later and later and later. It must have been, I know it was past midnight. I was up in this area, farming area, way out in the sticks, man. It was dark as hell out there, man. And as I described you guys in my poem in my pre-video, I was swerving on the road. It was not good, road conditions. The weather got worse, and all of a sudden, I just dozed off. I was so tired, I just dozed off, and that little split second caused me to swerve off into a snowbank. And at the time I had a Chrysler 300 rear-wheel drive, went into 4-wheel drive, so I knew I was in trouble. I don't know how I got out of it. It was like it wasn't really deep. It was like a 3 or 4 foot embankment, but still, when it's snow on the ground and you don't have a 4-wheel drive, good luck with that, right? I don't know how I got out of it, guys. I don't know how I got out of it, and it took me about 20 minutes total. I didn't want to, push the accelerator all the way down. I didn't want, because the more you push down, the more your tire is going to sink into the snow and go further and further down. So I didn't want that to happen. So I did the best I could with just swerving my wheels. In between time, I called my dispatcher and I told him, man, look, it's been a hell of a night. I'm trying to get through. I want to get through all this because, hey, it's Halloween and all that. I'm in a snowbank. Can you send somebody to get me? He said, I cannot send anybody to get you. Right now you're stuck there for a few hours until I can get somebody out there. Right now it's a tough night with snow on the ground, it's weather. I said, I understood that. I said, man, look, it's been a tough night. Here I am having a rough night. We're trying to stay awake and get all these stops done. And, on top of that, it's Halloween. He said, man, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? It's not even close to Halloween, man. What are you talking about? And he started to have this discussion with me on, he had other drivers he was trying to take care of. He said, man, I don't know what's going on with you, brother, but it's not Halloween, my man. Let's get yourself out of that ditch. 15 minutes later, I just kept moving my wheels, and I don't know how I got out of it. I did a little reverse into the wall of the snowbank, and I went back. All I know is I cocked my wheel to the left and hit the accelerator and got out of it. I don't know how I shouldn't have got out of it with that car. I should not have got out of that snowbank, but I did, man. And I'll never forget that scenario. But I got that done and got back home at 2:30 at night, guys. And I had to be at work. I got up every day. I got up at about 4:30 in the morning, 4:30, 5 o'clock. And I had to be at work at 6 o'clock, 6:30 that particular morning on my full-time job. I'm talking about me going into 6 figures. I'm talking about me moving forward on my financial health journey. Why do I take this time now to talk to you guys about these negative, bad things that happened in my life, these past scenarios in my past? Why do I talk about them now? I talk about them now because what I'm going to talk about is something rarely talked about on these airways with people who are winning with money. Is that we use certain things in our past to move us forward. We use certain things in the past to propel us to the future. We use certain things in the past that's going to make our life great for the present, that's going to make our life great for the future. Not just for us, but for the people we're trying to help. Not just for us, but our family tree. Not just for us, but for you as well and your people. We use our pain as fuel. We use our pain as fuel, guys. And that's what I want to convey to you guys right now. If you grew up on welfare, grew up poor and on welfare, you have a burning desire to change your life right now, and you think that is going to be through a financial health means. You think that's going to be to propel you forward. You think that getting involved in your financial health journey to eliminate debt, to eliminate bad debt first, and to tell your money what to do, to build an emergency fund, and to build your wealth from there, to get out of debt and build your wealth from there. If that is you, and you want to get involved in this journey, right? I want you to understand that if you're working with me and I was helping you, I would help you get to that point where you can use your pain as fuel, right? That's what I did, guys. That's what I did in my life to get to this point. Those times I talked to you guys about when I went into a snowbank, right? And I talked to you guys about times where I didn't want to go to work, times where I was out there in tornadoes, right? Rainstorms, sleet storms, right? Snowstorms, right? Windstorms, right? And I was out there and folks thought I was crazy, right? These things I just talked to you guys about are the things that stayed with me, that propelled me forward. See, I used that for my energy. I used that when I was in places where I shouldn't have been, when I was in trouble, right? Out there making my certain deliveries. And I've seen it all, guys. I've been through it all. When I was tired, working off 3 and 4 hours sleep, what propelled me forward? What kept me going? What energized my spirit? What energized my body, mind, and soul? We talk about the 4 healths: physical health, mental health, spiritual health, and financial health. From my financial health perspective, what kept my spirit, my mindset, my physical body going was the things I just talked to you guys about. I used my pain as fuel. When times where I was running low on energy, when my car and my body's running low on gas, I reached back in my past and grabbed that to put inside my body, to use the pain as fuel to get me to this point. And that's what I want to convey to you guys right now, okay? That's what a lot of folks don't want to talk to you guys about. That's winning with money. I'm going to talk to you about it right now, right? That's how we win. That's one of the elements of how we win with money, guys. Right there, what I just described to you. If you're new to the channel, and like we just heard in this video, I'm asking you to do one important thing. Share this information, this very valuable financial health information with someone you care and love. You believe they can use this information to their advantage going long term. Who knows? Maybe you can too. K-2s, the originals. If you're watching me right now, what I always tell you guys, we've come too far to give up who we are. So let's take it to another level. Raise the bar. Only then can we toast 2 ancestor stars. Peace.